Everyone, this is Bill's Man. I'm JVD.
And I'm Smiley. Today we're talking about downtime activities here on Dungeons and Discussions.
To get an idea of some normal downtime activities for your PCs in your Dungeons and Dragons game or whatever game you might be playing, Pathfinder, Savage Worlds. But in D&D, which is normally what we're going by here on Dungeons Discussions, you can turn to 187 on an undercover cop in your player's handbooks. Under downtime activities, we've got crafting, which you can craft almost anything in D&D. What's your favorite item to craft?
Scrolls, potions, wands.
I can see that because you're pretty big spellcaster.
Yeah, I have a hard on for wizards.
Yes, you very much do. In my experience with playing D&D, as long as I don't think I've ever crafted anything.
Oh, God.
No, I mean, I don't think I've ever played a character that is crafted.
Just the thought of that. Wow. About half my characters have made shit in games.
I cannot think of any character off the top of my head that's ever created anything, craft-wise.
I mentioned a game in another video on Neverwinter Nights.
Mm-hmm.
That to me is my favorite depiction of like 3.0 and 3.5 outside the actual tabletop itself. And it, like in one of the expansions, they added things like crafting and stuff to it. And to me, that just the ability to do stuff like that is just so. It's just a wonderful aspect of the game again.
Well, Ord very much.
Yeah.
When you had played
Ord very much embodied like that because I like being able to say I did this or I made this in anything.
Yeah, and as a DM, make sure you allow your characters time to do such things.
Yeah.
And that was an issue we were in, and I kept telling you, I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
And we kept going the opposite direction.
Yes, and you guys kept going the opposite direction. Anytime I would set up a time for Ord to craft, you would always push the opposite way. But and the thing
it made sense character-wise, though.
Yes, it did. It made a lot of sense, and that's why you just let role-playing dictate the game.
Yeah.
So, but as a DM, don't be afraid to let your characters craft anything as long as it's within the limits of what their character is capable of. And I think that's where I've seen and read about things where people tend to go outside the boundaries. Just because I'm a ranger doesn't mean I should, as you just said, craft a wand. I'm a ranger. I'm not a wizard nor a sorcerer. So that should not be within my capabilities.
I believe like wands and focuses are like sorcerers' terrain if it's like focus related. Book magic, wizards making scrolls and potions. And this is like my personal like little core belief on the matter.
Yes.
Like where sorcerers, I see them making things to help their spontaneous casting.
Yes.
Where wizards make things that are very academically made.
Yes. And as this as in the DMG, this continues on with magic item. I don't think every class should be able to craft magic items either.
I believe that the creation of magic items should be either accidental or following a set recipe.
And I agree, and to me that fits more the style of wizards, like you said, academically, or clerics.
I can see like smiths hiring wizards for said enchantments.
Or clerics for, said things too.
Like if you're playing a forge cleric, I would say that's fine.
Yes, I agree, yeah. But I still can't think of any character I've ever had that's crafted anything besides arrows, but I guess that would count. But I mean, that was more because they were a ranger and they needed arrows. Yeah. So, but I can't think of any time I've ever armsmith, weaponsmith, and I guess I associate a lot of that with where Everything Great used to be really big on RuneScape before we had WoW, the way it turned into World of Warcraft. So, practicing a profession. Now that is something I have had a character do. I played a Dragonborn Paladin that was a painter.
Nice.
And they would go to towns and he would meet with the higher authority figures, and as gratitude for things, he would offer to paint their portraits. That was how he made peace. So yes, I practiced my profession of painting. So yes, that was something I've done. And to me, profession is used more during downtime than I would think crafting is, especially in-game. Profession is something you could work on in-game.
Well, I consider crafting, like if you're crafting, this would be part of your profession.
Yes. Oh, yeah, those two run hand in hand very, especially 3.5, which is what I grew up with. Yes, those two go in hand very, very well. Recuperating, that's just what it is.
I like messing with 1s and 20s so much. Like in general, unless you have an ability like reliable talent, a 1 will always be a failure. A 20 will always be a success. But I like to play with it a bit. Like if you roll a 1 on an attack roll with like a bow,
String breaks.
String breaks. If you roll a 20, if there's a guy standing behind the guy, punch straight through.
Yeah.
Hit the guy beside him.
Yeah, I agree with that. Researching is something that I've always done with characters and downtime.
Oh, what I was getting at that was like, yes. You throw 1s, like you will get an injury. They will need to just take time off.
For the recuperating. Yeah. Yes.
Oh, I got distracted.
Oh, it's all right. Researching, which is something my guys really do. My character Lynch in our game, the Rise of Obsidian Legion, our game beforehand, the March on Icewall, he did a lot of research because he was thrown through the outer worlds of like the Lovecraftian worlds, and he was affected by the King in Yellow. He was affected by the yellow side, and so he sees it every now and then. And if you want to read my descriptions of those, check out the RPG Mindset on Facebook. My description of the outer worlds, I think, are really good.
One of my favorite Lovecraftian.
Yes, so and he's affected by that, so he's done nothing but research, and there are a year and a half of downtime trying to figure out what it means. So to me, I think research is the best thing you can do in downtime for characters. Yes. There's a lot you can research. For instance, what we have going on in your game.
Yes.
There's a lot of stuff now that can be researched, especially after what we just finished up.
Yes.
I have a lot I would love to research during some downtime.
Well, there are libraries.
It's just a matter of I have a king to kill.
Yeah.
Researching.
He set that as an example of what you could do.
Yes. But I could research how to kill the king and get away with it. If you want to think of that.
One thing I like about it's part of crafting, part of researching is I love making up my own spells.
Yes.
And that's one of the things, like, I have made several spells for 5e.
Yes, Chef.
Yeah, and, like, this thing, like, that's a lot of the times, like, I started making those because I had a player that wanted to develop his own spells.
And remember, as a DM, make sure you go over these with your players before you even allow them. There's got to be some
essentially, he
there.
gave me the level he wanted to be and the gist of what he wanted to accomplish.
Yeah,
and I made it myself and gave it to him.
Yeah, and it's really easy to you can find out.
That's because my brother doesn't know how to balance shit.
Yeah, and you can find out. It's really easy to balance a spell if you base it off a spell that's already there.
Yeah.
And just tweak a little. It's easy to change fire damage to necrotic damage. Yeah. And then if it's got a little twerk, well, you can tweak that to match what your player wants.
If you're playing a character that's thematically an energy type, like a dragon sorcerer or something along those lines, and they just don't have the spells that they want, but they exist using other things, let them spend downtime to research and tweak the spell to do that thing.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt to change a fireball to cold damage.
Yeah.
I mean, in the end, in the overall game, it's not going to affect it.
Yes.
I mean, unless he's literally trying to change fireball to ice because, you're fighting a red dragon. Yeah. That kind of changes the game.
There's lightning bolt for that, too.
It's very, very true. One thing I am notorious doing for is training during downtime. My characters will train, especially, and I think as a DM, I think you should apply this, especially when you have talked to your character and they are going to multi-class. Yeah, I think this is the best thing you can use downtime for. For instance, Lynch, I was going to go Ranger because when I role play, I let my role playing affect my character and my classes. So I don't have I'm going to play a rogue level 20 and I'm doing this. No, I take my character to level 4 level, and if something changes them and pushes them to a different direction, I change it. And then with downtime, I use training to go into Ranger from rogue. Now, the bad thing about this is what it tells you. Training takes you 250 days, which would be about right. I also allow my characters to change things about them. For instance, in 250 days, you can become very wise with the right training. So Kyle, my DM at the time, allowed me to change my intelligence to gain the wisdom I need to become a ranger, because in 3.5 you have your prees that you have to meet.
And honestly, I kind of feel that's a bit of just a suggestion.
Yeah.
I don't adhere to the prerequisites strictly.
Yeah. But I mean, I wanted it because I did have some spells where I was needing a little wisdom.
Yeah.
But it wasn't nothing that drastically changed my character that much at all. So, and then, but otherwise, Smiley, any ideas that you as a DM would use for downtime that aren't in the book?
Oh, God. I've already mentioned things like spell creation and
Yes.
stuff like that. There's so many things you can do with it, just in general.
Mm-hmm.
Things like customizing things, creating things, and all they cover a lot of bases in the book. I think there's more in the DMG.
Yes.
And downtime is a big part of Adventurers League. That's how you get extra levels on your character to get out of that level 1 to 5 slump. Especially if you're trying to make a new character.
Yeah.
But there's a lot you can do with it. I would say, like, much with training, like, if you want to focus on strength, if you, in train, on that add benchmarks on your training that gives you a +1 to strength.
Yes.
And stuff like that.
Yeah, see, I am big on that stuff. Like, for instance, let me retrain real quick. You could spend time between adventures learning a new language or train with a new set of tools. I'm very big on letting my players, like you just said, get that bump, learn a new skill.
Yeah.
For instance, say Ord was becoming adept at using survival. It's not so much that you were rolling all the time on survival, but you were just rolling high enough where Ord would be picking up on things through something, and you're like, hey, look, I've really learned survival. Will you let me learn that? Or I'm big on letting people take feats freely for training, as long as they're not something that would be overkill, like linguistics. What's the feat for 3.5e? I think it's linguistics.
I think so, yeah.
But it'll let you learn a new language, and you get some stuff out of that. I'm big on letting people learn just character feats. The
things like if you're training a lot, like in Mortal Kombat, especially for like a warlock or something like that, they don't have access to a lot of weapon proficiencies. There's a feat for that.
Yes.
And if they're spending a lot of time training with various weapons or using weapons when not actually being trained to do it, they'll eventually start picking stuff up.
Yeah, like for instance, if Ord wanted to learn to use a great sword, I wouldn't so much give him the feat, but I would let him allow the time to learn to be proficient with a great sword. Because to me, if you let them get the feat, that means they have access to everything, and it's kind of hard to
practice. What's the feat? I think is just like proficient with 5 weapons.
Yes. So a great weapon master.
No. It's just called like weapon mastery, I think.
Okay.
I hate the feat myself.
Yeah.
Different discussion.
But yeah, I'm completely fine with allowing people to be proficient in a weapon. Because a lot of times as a character, for instance, you like to play wizards, you might find a weapon that is very useful to your talents, but yet you're not proficient with it and that would allow you to be able to use that weapon to gain its abilities and still use the weapon fine without taking any penalties.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm perfectly fine with that.
And I will say, like, a lot of times, if there's, like, a giant sum of downtime, and you say, like, well, my character isn't just going to sit around and do nothing. He's going to keep adventuring, and maybe with other people, other parties. Then, if you're playing a very, like, dynamic, like, experience-based game, then ones where the characters are not always the same level, let them get a bump.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not hard to do.
And a bump won't make or break the balance of the party.
No, not at all. Yeah. No, I completely agree with that. Because just that one level is not really going to make that much of a difference. Especially in 5e. It's your character might be a level head, and before that, that sounds like it's a lot. But in 5e, no, you might gain 5 hit points. 6 hit points.
A level 10 character, a group of level 10s can fight a CR20 creature and come out ahead.
Yeah, if played right. I don't recommend that though. Not at
Ancient
all.
Dragons, they suck.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend that at all. I would never put up my level 10s against level 5. Unless you're Evan and they have special metal. Yeah, because he's notorious for that stuff.
No, he legit. Yeah.
Yes, very bad.
Yeah.
But that's been it for this episode of Discussions with Downtime. And when you have downtime, feel free to watch the rest of these.
Oh, yeah. They're amazing.
Yes, I'm JVD.
I'm Smiley.
Keep the dice rolling, guys.